There are many types of religious doctrines. There are many types of religious faiths in the world. Many types. Mainly Christianity, mainly Judaism, mainly Islam, mainly Buddhism, Hinduism, mainly these. And then along these subsects, different variations, but mainly these. So all types of religious practices, all types of religious teachings are actually quite excellent. On what basis can we think that it's excellent? On the basis that these great religious teachers, such as of the Islam faith, Muhammad, of the Christian faith, great Jesus Christ, and of the Buddhist faith, the great Buddha, for example, they have taught the doctrine, they have taught different teachings in order with the motivation to eliminate sufferings, to eliminate unhappiness, to eliminate the sufferings and problems that we may encounter in the future. They did not teach in order to get money. They did not teach in order to get reputation. They did not teach in order to get position and power. If we check the life stories of these great masters, in fact, they lived very simply, they lived very humbly, and they lived with the sole motivation to benefit others. Therefore, these great masters, with the correct and pure and excellent motivation, also being enlightened and correct conduits of the teachings themselves, were able to pass the teachings over to us. Therefore, the motivation of these great masters were excellent, were infallible, were completely, stainless. Therefore, their doctrines must be stainless. Therefore, their doctrines must be excellent. Therefore, their doctrines must be infallible. Therefore, we can assume that each of these religious doctrines are excellent. And if we look carefully, there are great religious masters or religious people in every single religious faith in the world. For example, today we have the great Saint Mother Teresa, who has practiced the Holy Christian faith, the Holy Christian path from the time she was born until now, and she has developed into a warm, giving, wonderful person. In fact, she embodies everything that Jesus Christ has taught: humbleness, charity, giving, simplicity, to seek reward in the next, not now. She is a total reflection of what Jesus Christ has taught. When we see it like that, we can see definitely if we practice the Christian faith correctly, it is good. By the example of Mother Teresa, it is excellent. She's a wonderful person. Then in the Buddhist faith, we have a person that's very compassionate, very gentle, that works for the world, that only thinks of others. Like His Holiness Dalai Lama, who is Prince of Peace, who is a Prince of Peace that preaches and teaches teachings on the basis of compassion and forgiveness. He has become world-renowned because of the faith that he has practiced from his heart. From his heart. Not that he is a Buddhist, but because he has practiced Buddhist teachings from the heart, from inside his inner being. Therefore, we can feel it, we can see that it is a real Dharma practitioner, a real one. Then in the past, we have the great religious master, the great political master, the great Mahatma Gandhi, who also liberated over 500-600 million people, his whole country, without raising one sword, without raising one stick, without raising one gun. He liberated the whole country from colonialism, from suppression, from oppression, from prejudice, with compassion, with love, with peace, or total ahimsa, or peace, on the basis of the holy Hindu faith. His strength came from the Hindu faith. So we can see that if we practice the Hindu faith correctly, we can become such a wonderful, excellent, open, giving, and peaceful person such as Mahatma Gandhi. And then many great masters, many great teachers of all the religions that don't have time to give examples for every single religion. For example, if we take these three into one room, we bring them here, we ask them to sit. Which one will outshine the other? They are all equal. If we look at Mother Teresa, very kind. If we see the Dalai Lama, very kind. If we see the great Mahatma Gandhi, very gentle, very kind. When we look at these three, we cannot say which one is better. If you were to say which one is best, we cannot point our hands at and point our finger, because all three are equal to each other, or excellent. What did that come from? How did that come about? It came about by spiritual practice. It came about by spiritual evolvement. It came by mental evolvement, mental development. That mental development can only be possible by spiritual methods. Therefore, all religious practice on the basis of that logical grounding that I've just given you is excellent. It's excellent. All religious practice. Religious practice will balance our lives. Religious practice will give meaning to our lives. Religious practice will give us hope and will give us answers for many things that we encounter in our life. Religious practice. Why? Because religious practice is based on the truth. Based on what is the truth, what is correct, what is not correct. Why is it based on the truth? Because the person who has spoken about it is a completely enlightened being. Completely filled with wisdom, completely filled with good motivation, completely filled with great ability to bring about the truth to us. So because religious practice itself is based on the truth, therefore, if we practice the truth, if we base our life on this truth, only good results can come. If we base our life on uncertain phenomena, or if we base our life on just wealth, if we base our life on just money, if we base our life on just getting things for ourselves and pleasing our sensory arrogance, then we will not be in happiness. From the time that we have been born up to this moment, if we check carefully, what have we lived our lives for? Have we lived our lives for others? Have we lived our lives for us? And if we have lived our lives for us, what happiness have we gained? What peace of mind have we gained? What benefit have we actually gained for ourselves? Then like that, religious practice, because it is based on truth, therefore, it will only bring about good results. Remember, religious practice is not spoken by someone who had bad motivation, or who had no knowledge, or who had no wisdom. It was spoken by someone whose wisdom is much greater than ours, much greater, whose compassion is much greater than ours, whose abilities and selflessness is much greater than ours. Therefore, what they taught to get to that position must be valid. We must check carefully. Then, since I am a Buddhist monk, and since we are here for a Buddhist thought, then I will explain to you briefly tonight on the fundamentals of Buddhism. And when we break down the fundamentals of Buddhism, we have to bring it back down to the basic thought, positive and negative karma, the basic thought of karma and its workings, negative, positive, neutral karma, that interspersed with reincarnation. So the basic thought or the basic idea of Buddhism is reincarnation. From reincarnation, everything else stems forward, which is karma, from that actions, and how to destroy negative actions by meditation, by how to say contemplation. So everything is based on the thought of reincarnation. This is very important. 2,500 years ago, the serpent sage, the enlightened being, the one that has controlled his senses, that has completely controlled his negative mind, his negative actions, not only controlled, also completely annihilated, was the perfect Buddha, Gautama, Siddhartha, or his triumphant Shakyamuni Buddha. When we say Buddha, it doesn't refer only to the historical Shakyamuni Buddha. Buddha is a title that is given to a person who is free from all suffering and its causes, that has the ability to guide us to that state. For example, when we say Prime Minister, it doesn't only refer to the great Dr. Mahathir. It also refers to many Prime Ministers that are in every single country in this world. Like that, when we say Buddha, it doesn't only refer to the historical Shakyamuni Buddha. When you say Shakyamuni Buddha, Shakyamuni is his clan name, or the name, he is royalty. He is the king of the Shakya clan, or his father was the king of the Shakya clan. He would have been the king. He was a prince of the Shakya clan. So the Shakya clan, meaning Shakyamuni, Buddha, when you say it refers to the holy historical Buddha that appeared in this world 2,500 years ago, that was born in Mini, that became enlightened in Bodh Gaya, and that gave the first teachings to turn the first view of the law after enlightenment, Varanasi, and that taught for 40 years on this planet. And with meditative absorption, passed away at the age of 81 in Kushinagra. This was the historical Shakyamuni Buddha. So when we say Buddha, it could be Medicine Buddha, it could be Tara Buddha, it could be Zambala Buddha, it could be White Cloud Buddha, it could be Tsongkhapa Buddha, Uruchi Buddha. There are Huan Yin Buddha, there are Wensu Buddha, Manjushri Buddha, so many types of Buddhas. Why so many types of Buddhas? Because when Shakyamuni taught, he had many disciples. He had many disciples that listened. The disciples themselves listened to Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, meditated, contemplated, changed their attitude, became a fully enlightened Buddha. when they became a fully enlightened Buddha, therefore we cannot call them Shakyamuni Buddha either. So whatever their name was, then their name that, for example, Medicine Buddha, for example, Tara Buddha, for example, Zabala Buddha. Like that, many Buddhas appeared later on. Many Buddhas will appear now, many Buddhas will appear in the future. Whoever practices the Dharma, whoever becomes a fully enlightened being, will be awarded the title Buddha. What Buddha you have is according to your name. So there are many types of Buddhas, many aspects of Buddha. Because when you practice and you become a Buddha in your own right. You have the same powers, you have the same abilities as Shakyamuni Buddha. Just like when you become a prime minister, you have the same abilities as any prime minister. You're afforded the same rank as any prime minister. Then, like that, there are many types of Buddhas, many types. So 2,500 years ago, the original Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, taught many doctrines. But the many doctrines which is very important for us tonight, all of them are equally important for us tonight, is the doctrine of reincarnation. He taught about that. He explained about that. He talked about that. 1,000 years later, great Lakshmi doctor here in India, belonging to Nalanda Monastery, who became a great scholar, meditation master, and a great exponent and teacher, also a miracle worker of Buddhist teachings, a great saint. Even up to today, in Tibet, in North India, and also in Mongolia, you'll see many temple statues dedicated to this great saint, like Francis of Assisi also. This great saint Dr. Kitty. In the pose of debate holding, it was